From school, growing up, not doing well, kicked out of school, struggling, to now building a multi-six-figure business. I had no clue what areas I needed to focus on. A lot of the time I was guilty of it myself, was just working hard on pointless tasks that were not moving the business. There were a lot of blind spots, and it didn't really feel like I had business, like a proper business that would run on autopilot, which is what I want. Now it looks completely different. We're pulling in about £60,000 a month at the minute, which is cool. This year we'll be doing sort of like £500,000, which is brilliant. We've got like a big team, we've got like 10 back-end staff as well. That's really how we've had that 46% jump in revenue.
How has your personal life changed since you've been more successful as well?
I think it's just given me that ability to enjoy things. Myself, I'm engaged, I've got a fiance, I've got 2 dogs, obviously just moved to Dubai now. For me, it's now like, how can I look after my family?
What did it take for you to get to this level?
I think there's a lot of like...
All right, we have Tej today on the Hypergrowth podcast. So Tej has been a client of ours for a fair bit now and has done incredibly well. Tej, do you want to introduce yourself here?
Yeah, so I'm Tej. I'm Tej Recchi. I run Immense Coaching, and I've been with you now for a fair while. Had some excellent results, so I'm looking forward to this chat. Thanks for having me.
All right, so Tej, how did you get into the online space?
I got into the online space about four and a half years ago now, and it was mainly due to the fact that I was doing a bit of in-person PT. I was a gym manager, and it just wasn't something that I could see myself doing long term, just due to the fact I wasn't able to work with as many people as I wanted. As you know, there's only so many hours in the week. I was doing like 30, 40 hours a week as a PT alongside my gym manager role, and I wanted to have a much bigger impact. So I came across sort of online. I knew of online coaching. I didn't know sort of like how big it was. So I got into it and then sort of just took off from there, and we've been doing that ever since.
Dive straight into a more difficult question here. What did you wish you knew about online fitness coaching before you actually started?
I wish I knew the sort of impact you could actually have from it. I think there's like obviously different loopholes to different categories that you can get into, in the sense of like when you're first starting out, you don't really understand like how big you can actually grow it. I think that was sort of like what stopped me from going at it a bit sooner. But I think like ever since we've seen it sort of go, we've now worked with like over 1,000 people at this point. If I had known sort of like how big it could get, I would have done it sooner. But then also looking back, would I have changed anything? Probably not, because I do think getting that experience on the gym floor has given me the sort of tools to now excel in the online space as well.
So we know that it is such a small percentage of people that get to the stage where you are at in business, in online fitness coaching. Now, where are we right now in terms of not just the impact goals? We know you've helped thousands of people and you have a presence which is continuously helping more people. Where are we at right now with the business?
In terms of revenue, we're pulling in about £60,000 a month at the minute, which is cool. This year we'll be doing sort of like £500,000, which is brilliant. In terms of like the actual business though, like monetary stuff is great, but it's more so like the team that we're building out as well. So we've got a team of 2 coaches right now. I've also been able to hire my mum as well to help with like the life coaching aspect. I've been able to bring my fiance in to work as like the head of ops. And we've got like a big team. We've got like 10 back-end staff as well. So yes, the finances are great, but the actual business that we're building now is something that I didn't expect, but something that I'm just going to run with now.
I know that this has also been a big impact for you in terms of growth personally as well. So what would you say the biggest lessons were at each stage of scaling? So let's say 0 to 10K above, 10 to 30, the 30 to 60, where you are right now.
I'd say from 0 to 10K, you really do need to be willing to put in the work. And I think that's where most people struggle to get to. I think 0 to 10K is probably the hardest step to get to, because you need to be doing everything, right? You need to be doing the marketing, the sales, the setting, the coaching. So I think if you're able and willing to put in the work for that, getting from 0 to 10K, you need to be willing to work, to be in the trenches and work hard. 10 to 20K is just more of like excelling. How do we improve our client results? How do we improve the community? How do we start working on referral systems? And then sort of like 20 to 50 to 60K is like, how can we now optimize ads? How can we bring on a team of coaches, like top quality coaches, not just mediocre coaches? If you want to be here for the long run, you need the best in the business. So it's sort of like that's mainly like the biggest lessons I brought is like building a team of A players around me.
Nice. Now, what do you feel like you're missing, or what do you feel like you're wanting to learn now, scaling to 80, 100, 120K a month?
It's more so just about like ads now. I think that's sort of like what we're focusing on together is like understanding ads properly, like the down to the penny, what you put in, what you get out. I feel like a lot of the time what business mentors teach you is just like spend more and that's going to equal more cash collected. When in fact now we really want to get them down to like how can we improve our profit margins. So that's sort of like the number one area I want to focus on now is like ad spend, to be honest with you.
I think this is probably one of the biggest things, which you mentioned lightly, but most people don't realize how important it is. It's getting granular on the data. So I'll tell you now, from similar stage to where we're at right now to when we push for 100, 100, 110 around there, the biggest thing was actually dissecting what actually worked in terms of the specifics. So when it comes to outbound messages sent and then the qualified calls booked, and when it comes to ads, the link click-through rate, the creative testing, the efficiency you need to do that at, and what numbers you are actually going to use to consistently build out a bigger and better team as well. So the bottlenecks become very clear, but the first step is, of course, having all the data. So if we're being more specific right now as well, what did it look like before working together on this in terms of the business, and what does it look like now?
Completely different, to be honest with you. Like obviously we built the business to a decent spot. We were doing sort of like 40K a month, but there were a lot of blind spots, right? It didn't really feel like I had a business, like a proper business that would run on autopilot, which is what I want. But now it looks completely different. Before it was more sort of like get a setter in, get a VA in, get coaches in. There was no sort of like granular data, as you said, but now it's completely different. It's like every outbound message is sent, every outbound message is sort of tracked, every inbound message, every follow-up, every call, every close, everything now. So it's like you can see you can pinpoint exactly where the issues are. And I think that gives me a lot of clarity. It gives me a lot of sort of peace of mind as well.
I love it. And what kind of changes did you make to your DM system, your setting system? So just for reference as well, Tej runs a call booking funnel. So DMs to call booking to call taken, close, and then client is fulfilled on. So the DMs are coming through ads as well as outbound organic. So what does it look like now, and what changed with the DM setting system?
I think we completely scrapped it. I think that's like one of the first things that happened when you came in was you looked at it and you thought, this is rubbish, right? And I think that was a tough pill to swallow because it was what I was doing the whole time. But then I can understand like something needed to change, especially when you grow your account to like a decent level, to a decent sort of size. It's now like, okay, how can we really improve this to send it to the next level? And the script completely changed. We got rid of setters. We brought in better setters. Everything has completely changed with you, man, to be honest with you.
Love to hear it. And you are, of course, a very, very good executor as well. It doesn't need to be said. You already know this, but how did you actually get to that point? And were you different before? Was Tej, let's say 3 years ago, 5 years ago, even different to Tej now? And how so?
Completely different, because Tej of 5 years ago had a completely different mindset. I didn't really know this was possible. I was just going back to sort of like childhood at school. It was tough because didn't really do well at school at all. And it wasn't because I was dumb or didn't have the knowledge or anything like that. It was just because I didn't have the passion, right? I wasn't passionate about anything they taught in school apart from sport. And I was always someone who found my passion and just ran with it. So Tej of 5 years ago, it was more so like, okay, building a business for myself. It was always like, how do we grow Tej's business? And then it got to a point where I was my biggest bottleneck. So I needed to then bring in a team, and it was more so about them, excelling them, helping them. So it's been completely different. The mindset's completely changed now. It's no longer about me. The vision that I've got with the business is so much bigger than myself. And I'm just grateful for the support I've got so far from you.
I love to hear it. And I think this is probably one of the biggest factors that everyone's striving towards. It's more freedom, not just time freedom, location freedom, financial freedom, but the freedom of mind, knowing that you are the person that can build this again, and you have the skill set to buy your own freedom. And I can tell you now, very vivid memory of mine as well was, of course, the realization that in med school, becoming a doctor means absolutely nothing. You are essentially still strapped to a 9 to 5, essentially, where you're overworked, underpaid for the inputs that you can put in. And it was just a game of building leverage, because as soon as you hit that realization, and then even in business itself, you actually need to be at a certain point so you can maximize your earning window. And I feel a lot of people do miss this as well. They think that they get to 5, 10, 20K a month and they think that lasts forever. If it's not built on foundations which are built to scale, it not only doesn't last forever, but it is essentially going to decline at some point. So what foundations do you feel like you have right now that you didn't have even earlier days of business, that you feel you have consistency month on month for?
I think the number one thing that we focus on inside the business is transformations, right? I think that's like the number one thing a lot of people struggle with. A lot of coaches are just in it for the money, which is cool. Like, obviously you've got you want to do well for yourself, right? But the number one reason I made this business and formed the business was for transformations and was for helping people, having an impact. I think that's often overlooked. People start to make a decent amount of money and they start really forgetting about the clients, which is actually what got them to that point. So now it's just about how can we provide the best service for our clients, then referrals, the client transformations. That at that point there, like, the business will just run on its own now. Like, getting it to that point was the hardest, and now it's just about like keeping your eyes sort of like tunnel vision sort of thing.
100%. And I think that's also why you're continuing to grow. But I do see a lot of coaches on one end or another with this. So they're a great coach, they get great transformations, but they don't have the systems to drive growth in the business. So they are simply just a great coach that's bottlenecked. And second, there's the people that get to a certain stage and they start collapsing because their back end isn't as good as it should be. And I think that's where you've excelled, because now you have both, which is going to actually consistently compound. And I think the great coaches who aren't making what they should be are in a position where they either rely on just inbound organic people coming to them, or they have a weak outbound system, or they haven't nailed down another acquisition system like ads. Because what worked, let's say a few years ago, where you could just post a transformation photo, get all the leads in, everyone coming to you, and you could get clients, unfortunately isn't as relevant now. You need a consistent, predictable, scalable acquisition system that you can scale off of. So we spoke about it a bit. We know advertising for you was actually a really, really big part of this. But how was that implemented for you specifically? As in, what did the process look like? Not just in terms of implementation, but A to Z. Where did it start? When did you decide to start? How much were you spending? And how does it look like now?
So before, it was sort of just like put money into it and hope for the best, right? And it used to work, but I think, as you said there, like, it's very easy to get to a certain income level, 20, 30K a month, and stall there. But for me, that scared the life out of me. Staying stalled, like, there's nothing worse. It genuinely feels like I'm going backwards. So for me to then get from there to the next level, this is the reason I joined you, was that one-to-one support that you guys give, you and the team. I mean, it's second to none. I've been on mentorships before, and I will never say anything bad about any of my mentors. They've been great. Everyone's been great at a certain part of my business. But for me to now push to that next level, I need someone who's really going to sit down with me and just dissect the whole thing, pick my brains, and challenge me. I think there's a lot of mentors out there who will just say, yeah, do that. Whereas with yourself, we'll jump on a call. You'll say, listen, that's rubbish. Change this. That's rubbish. Change this. And that's what I need now. And I think that's the issue so many people have, is as coaches, we always tell our clients they should be investing into themselves. Yet so many coaches are scared to invest into themselves as well. It doesn't really make sense to me.
I've personally also seen my consistent highest return being in investing in good information and accountability behind good information. And I think that is, I feel, what is missing in the mentoring space as well. So the actual level of information and the level of support, in my opinion, of course. Up to you to decide that as well. But Phil, what was the difference in terms of having this level of information versus what you've already had before?
It was more sort of details, right? Like it's not generic to everyone, as I said. I've been on mentorship groups before, which has been great, but it's been heavily like group based, right? Very difficult to actually have a one-to-one conversation with someone. Whereas with yourself, your team, James, Sam, whenever I need anything, book in a call, you're there, 5 minutes, I get a response. And that's what I need now. So it's that level of detail that has often lacked before. But I think that's really how we've had that, 46% jump in revenue within 1 month, pretty much.
Love it. I'm glad to hear. And, I do want to know about you, as in, what did it take for you to get to this level of not just, of course, your fitness, health, your mindsets, your beliefs, the business itself? What did it actually take for you to get to this level?
I think there's a lot of like self-development work you need to do, right? I think running a business, there's going to be challenges. You have to be very, very resilient. There's 10 fires a day that you need to put out. So it's being resilient. It's having that mindset to keep going. A lot of inner work, and also a lot of feeling as if you don't really deserve it. From school, growing up, not doing well, kicked out of school, struggling, to now building a multi-six-figure business. Do I actually deserve it? Of course I deserve it because I've worked for it. But that mindset, your mind plays with you. So there's a lot of inner work that had to be done every single morning. Journal, meditate, exercise. And for myself now, leading from the front of the business, you can't just talk the talk, you have to walk the walk. And I think that's what a lot of coaches struggle with.
Completely understand. I've seen it again and again. I feel there are a lot of people ready to work. And when we look into what they're working on as well, we see a lack of leveraged efforts. And the leveraged efforts are in the difficult things that most people don't want to do. As in, I know a lot of people do just get stuck in the first 3 hours doing the same thing again and again. If it's check-ins, if it's working on, let's say, a website or an app or something, they know that doesn't move the business forward. But the difficult thing is too far away from them to either understand or to execute on. So they avoid it. So how did you actually get to the point of being able to do difficult things again and again?
I think there's a big difference between working hard and working smart. Now, I do think you need to do both, but a lot of the time I was guilty of it myself, was just working hard on pointless tasks that were not moving the business, right? And you then become your biggest bottleneck in the business. I was spending, when it was just myself, I was doing 130, 140 clients, working one-to-one with myself, check-ins, Loom check-ins every single week. And what can you do at that point? Content, sales, then at that point you're burnt out and it's difficult. So in terms of like, sorry, what was the question again?
As in, what did it take for you to make that switch in your mind for you to need to do the difficult work again and again and again?
I think it was just the realization that if I don't do it as the business owner, it's just not going to get done. And I feel like that's so, in life, a lot of the time things can get done for you. Someone will tell you that you need to do something, and someone will push you in the right direction. With school, we've got teachers. At home, we've got parents. When you're fully running a business on your own, if you don't do something, nothing will change. And I think there was that realization. If I want to build this life, I want to build this life for my team, for my clients, it needs to come from me. So I sat down, scrapped the whole calendar pretty much, and I put just like the high leverage tasks in there. And that's what we've been focusing on. And that's what's scaled the business.
I had a note down somewhere, I remember, on my phone or on my computer, where it was it was more, paraphrasing here, the idea of the only thing that will move the business forward is discomfort. And if you're avoiding discomfort today, you are robbing yourself of your future tomorrow. Now, the uncomfortable thing at every stage changes. So for you, at different stages of the business as well, what was most difficult for you?
I think taking myself out of the business, right? I think when you're growing a business on your own, when it's just you, you think that you're going to be needed in every part of the business, right? But I think that's only the case if you haven't got a team of A players. So that was really like a big thing that I focused on was, okay, if it's not going to be me who can deliver every part of this business, I want people who are as good as me or better than me at those certain tasks. So that's what we really focused on.
I agree. And I think this is probably the biggest thing that's missing as well. People assume a filled seat is a job being done. So they forget that someone needs to be trained, someone needs to be managed, and the person needs to be good enough to stay for the long run. So people get into a habit of accepting mediocrity within the team And then that's why you see inconsistent months and businesses slowly collapse or fail to grow, as in they stall. Now, I personally believe the people build the business. And when you are at a point where your systems are dialed in for people to take over those systems, then it's 100% the business owner's responsibility to make sure those people are performing, given the right KPIs, given the right metrics are tracked. What do you think now as well has helped you decide on a winning team? As in, what helped you decide when you needed to bring in A players and when you need to, of course, fire as well? It's a really big thing based off of KPIs and metrics.
So even for myself, like going through uni, I was always like a leader, if you like. Did my master's degree at Loughborough University, did sport management degree. Came out of uni, was managing a team of 30 PTs as a general manager at a gym. So I'd always sort of learned, I'd been through like the trial and error of actually doing it to the point I understood how to manage people, but not just like manage people, like more lead people. I wanted to bring people in who could then shine, right? But you have to be the right leader to let them do that. In terms of when I brought in the right people, it was as soon as I realized that I was the biggest bottleneck, right? With coaching, 130 check-ins a day. Like a day I was doing them on Monday and Tuesdays pretty much. I hated it, right? I enjoyed doing it. I loved giving clients that support, but I was so burnt out, right? And obviously I needed to bring in someone, but it wasn't just bringing in anyone. It took me ages. I was honestly advertising for coaches for a long time before bringing in the coaches that I've got right now. And they're absolutely brilliant. And now, because they're that good and I trust them and they're trained and they know what they're doing, they're educated, they're qualified, they can run it and the clients absolutely love it. So for me, that's like probably the best part about this whole thing is having a team of people in here who are able to excel on their own.
I believe most people get stuck at the point where they fail to realize that talent acquisition is the exact same as client acquisition. So the job post is the content, the DMs are still the DMs outbound, and the interview is the sales call, the fulfillment is the management training, onboarding, it's all the same. And I believe that's why people either, settle for the first person, assume they should be doing the job, or get a few people in and then keep them on forever because they think that's what you need to build a business and they've delegated. It's just not how it works. So
Exactly.
I always have a saying in my head as well. It's to see clearly is to lose the comfort of illusion. So when you stop lying to yourself as to what is actually being done and what should be done, you realize that there are so many gaps that would inevitably progress you through life in general a lot faster, as long as you are willing to lose the illusion of comfort, essentially, that you've built inside your own head. So for you, as in, there are next steps, stages to come as well. What do the next steps for you look like?
More coaches, right? Bigger sales team. It's just ramping up what we've got going now. We've built up excellent foundations now. Now it's just more and more and more. How can we have a bigger impact? Obviously, we've just moved to Dubai now. The goal's clear. Like, we're here not to joke about now. We really do want to take this to the next level. And that, again, exactly what you said there. You need to get used to sort of being uncomfortable, right? Moving away from home wasn't easy, right? But you have to do it. And these things you need to do, because if I don't do it, no one was going to do it. And it's so easy to get comfortable, right? I think as humans, we don't like change. We don't like being uncomfortable. And that's what I say to people on calls all the time when I'm on consultation calls with clients and they're scared to make that leap, scared to make that change. The reason they're in this position now is because they've had that mindset where they don't want to change. They want to feel comfortable. So if I know what needs to change for them and I can see it, it's the exact same thing for me. And even though I can, it's easy to relate. Obviously, like everything that we can relate to as coaches, you can see the exact same thing happen in your clients. So, yeah.
And I think one of the biggest points is that people are expecting to win and succeed without believing it themselves. As in, they haven't built the identity that's needed for them to win and succeed and to get to the next level. So they are living in an identity of belief frame that has kept them in the same place and want to progress, but refuse to change that identity to get to the next level. And I do think as well, it's a matter of discomfort that's needed, but also fear, because people have the worst case scenario in their head, which almost never comes true. Like, what's the worst that can actually happen here? Are you going to be homeless? Probably not. Are you going to lose everything tomorrow if you make this one decision? And then the speed of the decision that's made is too long for that decision to be relevant anymore. And that's where I feel that most people get stuck again and again and again. And I do think there is a limit to this as well, as to like, where are the next steps and do you need to zoom out for you to realize what the actual next steps are? So for you, where does it end? As in, what is happiness to you? Or are you trying to go for a happiness goal here?
I think I genuinely feel like I'm the happiest I've ever been, right? And I feel like, as you know, in the game of business, it never ends. It's a non-stop thing. You achieve a goal, the goalpost moves, you always want more, you want more. And I feel like if you've got that inside you, I don't think everyone has got that, right? I think that's what you said earlier in terms of getting to 10, 20K a month and getting comfortable, right? And that's fine. There's absolutely nothing wrong with that. Not everyone wants to build a huge business, and that's completely cool. But for me, the vision was always to build something absolutely huge. And that's what we're running with. But I'm happy now. I think you need to be grateful for what you've got. And I feel like spending time working on my self-development has given me the ability to feel happy now. But we always want more.
Happiness is a difficult concept when it comes to this game. And I believe, my personal opinion, that happiness comes from the pursuit of challenges and pursuit of difficult things, not in achieving them. I think the achievement is just a milestone. And I've never once felt happy. I can speak for myself. I've never once felt happy achieving the thing, but I've felt the most happiness, most gratitude in the pursuit of things. Of course, I am grateful, of course, of achieving certain things. And it goes back to the idea of an infinite game. So you don't win at business, you don't win at health, you don't win at marriage. You don't get to a certain point in business and you're like, okay, I've succeeded. You don't get into shape, you don't get a six pack and you're like, great, I've succeeded. You don't marry someone, you're like, the game's over now. The goal is to keep playing. And when the goal is to keep playing, you raise the bar higher and higher for yourself. And I have a contrarian belief around all of this. I think it's a good thing that you set the bar higher and higher for yourself, because that is you committing to yourself as to wanting to pursue happiness again and again and again. And as long as I feel that most people have an idea of where they want to go next and they are actively pursuing it, they will inevitably be happy. And even if that is difficult.
100%. 100%. It's that having that clear plan of action, isn't it? Like, without that plan, what are you actually doing? And I think that's what I used to struggle with before, like growing the business. I had no clue what areas I needed to focus on, right? Clients were coming in because we were getting results, referrals, but it wasn't at the speed that I wanted. Okay. And without the clear plan of action, without that clarity, right? And that's what I've been saying to you since we've joined. You've given us the clarity that we need to now drive this business. Otherwise, listen, as a coach, there's blind spots, right? If you know something needs to be done, in the back of your mind, something needs to change, right? And a lot of the time people will just sit there and not make those changes. But as I said, without that clarity, you need to know what to do. And now that you've told me what to do, I know I can just go all guns blazing at that and just focus on that.
And I think the next biggest thing as well, after you have clarity as well, is not needing perfection to execute on certain things. Because I feel as well, clarity is the biggest thing that stops you guessing your next move again and again in your head. But the ones who win don't need perfection to take action. And when you have direction, that should be enough for you to take the next step as well. And clarity, I think, is also defined by you being able to tell yourself that you will do the work regardless. And the discipline is from being able to take action on the information you have as well. So look, I do also know that, for example, Naval Ravikant said the reason to win the game is so you can be free of the game. I believe that the reason to win the game is so you have the choice to play or not. So how long do you think you'll be playing for?
I can't see myself stepping out of the game, to be honest with you. Like, I cannot see myself stepping out of the game. Like, I always want to be heavily involved in the business. I always want to be heavily involved with like the impact we're having. I wouldn't want to just build it. And then, like, for me, it's not just about going away and like chilling on a beach. Like, of course, that's great. And I can do that now. I think that's what the online business gives you, is that ability to be location freedom, like have location freedom, time freedom. But yeah, I can always see myself being in this space. For me, this is genuinely what I feel I was born to do.
I love it. I love it. And I think the bigger goals are always going to be how it impacts other people as well, the other people around you who you can help in your family, your partner, your immediate relatives. And this is probably where next steps become clearer when you have bigger goals. And I do think people think small because they haven't gotten themselves to the point of realization that you can retire your family. You can make sure your partner feels safe financially, of course, emotionally, all the time, because you have the freedom to do so, not just financially, but with time, with your location freedom. But for you, what does your personal life look like? As in, how has your personal life changed since you've been more successful as well in business?
I think it's just given me that ability to enjoy things more, right? For myself, I'm engaged. I've got a fiance. I've got 2 dogs. Obviously, just moved to Dubai now. For me, it's now like, how can I look after my family, right? And how can I take care of them? Because they spent obviously so many years taking care of me, supporting me. And I've always wanted that feeling to be able to give back to them. And I didn't have it initially. Like coming out of uni, straight into a general manager role at a gym. It was great. Everyone thought it was brilliant. I was surrounded by other managers there who had been there for years. And I was looking at myself in the mirror and I thought, is this it? Because what can I do? I can't help my family out here, especially in the UK now. It's so difficult to make a living, to take care of people. So when I found this loophole, when I found this space, it's given me the ability to help my family with things, help my mum chase her dreams, bring my mum into the business, move me and my fiance over. So yeah, like the monetary, like the motivation's great, but like what it actually does for you, like you can't really explain it.
I think these are the milestones that you actually remember. I said that the milestones don't mean much to me, but these are the only ones I still remember: retiring my parents. The car doesn't mean as much, but when you're like, okay, I am able to fly them out here, I'm able to go here to do this, I'm able to give up this much time just so I can have dinner with them when I want, uh, things become more clear as to why you're actually doing this. And then you expand the time horizon as well. Can I do this for another 20, 30, 40 years? Am I free enough to do this? Like, there are bigger goals and there is a next step. So for you as well, closing thoughts, more importantly as well, for how you can help other people who were in a similar situation or who are trying to better themselves or trying to improve themselves in the business space. What do you feel that the takeaways that would be most valuable for another online fitness coach who may have been in a similar position, is in a similar position to where you were before? What do you feel you can help them with, let's say, 2 free thoughts that are top of mind?
I think one, you need to bet on yourself big time, and you need to bet on yourself like over and over and over until you win, right? Because there's going to be times where you lose, and that's completely cool. And for me, like I used to struggle with challenges like 4 or 5 years ago. When things used to come up, it used to stress me out big time. But now when challenges come up, it's an opportunity for me to learn. I know exactly how to deal with it next time. So one is like bet on yourself. 2 is like commit to actually self-development for yourself and your team. Super important. And 3rd is like you have to invest in yourself. Like the information I've got now, like could I have got here on my own? Genuinely, I probably don't think so. But if I could have, it would have taken me 10, 20 times as long, right? And for me, like I want things now. So you can either pay with like time or you pay with like money, right? And for me, time is the most precious thing on this planet. And if we're telling our clients to invest in themselves to get to a certain point and we're not living by that exact same motto, like what are you doing? So yeah, those are my 3 points.
It's very respectable. And I've seen it from the people that are at the top of the game. Every single one of them, they have the idea of investing themselves because it's the only asset, it's the only thing that they will 100% get a return from. And worst case scenario is never the worst case scenario. And that's what people, I think, get stuck in their own head with. And there's a saying as well, if you're never scared to lose, you'll never be free to win. And that's where betting on yourself, I believe, is the only option, because no one else is going to.
Yep, 100%.
Thank you very much, Tej. Very much appreciate your thoughts.
No worries. I've really enjoyed this, man. Thanks for having me.